Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brewery Business Show. This is a space dedicated to the craft beer industry and entrepreneurs who wants to learn more about mindset, health, wealth, business, and of course, beer. I'm your host, Pedro Meneses, and before we start, I just want to make sure you buckle up, crack open a cold one, and get ready to hear some life-changing information. Cheers! Live, so welcome back, everybody, to episode 28 of the Brewery Business Show. Hey, I know you might be tired of hearing this at the beginning of every episode, but leave me a review on iTunes, y'all. When you leave a 5-star review, you help the platform's algorithm to suggest the show to more people. And if you're a first timer, be sure to check out the previous episode because we have 27 episodes loaded with great content that can transform your life and your business. Guys, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, sales. And for that, our guest is someone who has a lot of experience in this area. He has done everything from being a street rep to a district manager to become a top regional sales manager. And he has worked at small breweries and all the way to the top 50 national breweries. Since August of 2019, he has worked with one of the top 20 breweries in the Mountain West, where he managed sales across Colorado, Southwest, Midwest, and the East Coast. And today, he's here with us to give us some strategies and tactics that you can implement today and crush your sales. So welcome to the show, Nate. It is a pleasure to have you here, brother.
Hey, thanks, Pedro. Really appreciate you having me on, man.
No, man, thank you for taking the time. I'm excited that you're gonna be here because, like we were talking before we went live, man. We never talk about sales here very often in the show, so I'm excited that you're here because I know sales is a very, very important pillar in any business. You know, especially right now in the craft beer industry, that there's a lot of stuff going on, especially with the freaking COVID, and a lot of people are struggling. And I know that there's a lot of sales information that needs to be available to these people. So that's the reason why I'm glad that you're here, man. So thank you for taking the time of being here. I'm excited to get this show done.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think that, you know, I have more experience than some and less than most. You know, I think that, you know, what your show is important in terms of, you know, there's a lot of breweries that are smaller than Epic that are coming up, maybe joining the distribution model, increasing their sales, increasing their placements. And, you know, I guess that I can't speak to owning a business. I think that a lot of your, you know, you and a lot of your guests are amazing entrepreneurs who have taken on that role of kind of, you know, being the master of your own fate.
Right.
I tend to be fairly conservative in my thinking most times. You know, I think one thing you can say about, you know, we were talking about your experience, you know, getting a real estate license and starting this podcast and in a marketing company. And, you know, fortune tends to favor the bold. And I think that as a sales manager, I tend to be a little more conservative in my thinking. That doesn't mean that you can't take calculated risks. And when you decide to jump into that space, whether it's distribution or packaging or moving your brewery from a taproom model to a distribution model, once you make that decision to go forward, you need to, you know, get into that wholeheartedly. But yeah, like I said, I've surrounded myself with a lot of really, really good people. I've created good partnerships, and part of what your show does is help that grow that networking and knowledge base. So hopefully I can give, you know, sales managers out there or sales reps out there some pointers on how to, you know, make better communication with distributors, build consensus among groups with competing motivations, and then, you know, close some sales. You know, I think that if mistakes, you know, if learning from your mistakes is the best knowledge, I'm probably one of the smartest people out there because I've made a lot of mistakes.
Hell yeah, man. I have fucked my life so many times that that's what I'm bold in everything I do. You know?
Yeah, right? No,
yeah, and
so
I'm not embarrassed to say that, you know. I mean, the reason why where I am right now is because I have made so many mistakes, but, you know, now I embrace them and I'm grateful for them because they taught me to be who I am today. So, you know, it's great that you mentioned that. And like you said, you know, the purpose of this is to grow a network within not only the craft beer industry, but other industries too, you know, because the more we can connect, the more hands we shake, you know, the more people we come in touch with, the more we can grow our business, the more opportunity we have to expand our business, to make more sales, to do more stuff, you know, like that is very, very important. Either you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, is something that is really vital for the survivance of our businesses. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and the reason why, you know, like I was saying, sales is something that the industry doesn't touch too much in this point. They talk about all the distribution and how you can set up certain plans and all that stuff, but putting all that stuff into action is something that I haven't seen much in the industry. But before we get to that point, man, why don't tell us a little about your story so people can get to know you a little bit better, like how you got into the craft beer and all that kind of stuff. Tell us a little about you and your background, and how you got to where you are right now and being a top regional manager, man.
Yeah. Awesome. I think if I had to redo my story, I think my credo, it's sometimes better be lucky than good. It was kind of being in the right place at the right time. And so it's a combination of the right place, right time, and then kind of creating your own luck. I grew up here in Colorado, where about an hour south of Denver, in Colorado Springs, and good craft beer was kind of always around. I went to college at University of Colorado in Boulder, and majored in international politics. So if anyone wants to know anything about Serbian ethno-nationalism in 1994, I'm your guy. I spent my whole time in college, and I think like a lot of your guests, started kind of in the service hospitality industry.
Right.
I've been working for a large national restaurant chain, decided I didn't like that. A buddy of mine had an opportunity at Oskar Blues Brewery at one of their restaurant locations up in Longmont, Colorado, where I started there. I always knew I liked good beer. I just didn't know you could really make a career out of this. So I worked there for about 5 years, kind of on the brewery hospitality side, and then I interviewed with a job for Green Flash Brewing out of San Diego. And anyone that's familiar with the beer business, probably familiar with the hard times Green Flash has had for the last couple of years. I don't want to get all into that, but when I transitioned from the hospitality side, I immediately went from really not having a ton of sales experience outside of being able to sell someone a pint of beer behind a bar to managing 6 states, right away. And so back then I think I was the 4th or 5th sales rep Green Flash had hired. So there wasn't a lot. There was enough support, but not a ton of support coming from the home office in San Diego for the main brewery. So I just kind of had to figure this shit out on my own. And back in 2012, there wasn't this kind of network of, beer sales reps and distributors that were super familiar with the craft space yet. And so, I didn't have a lot of people to ask for advice at that point. I think I was probably one of the only supplier reps in Colorado for our distributor. After that, I moved to Green Flash, kind of bounced me around the country. I lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for about 5 years, which was, one of my favorite places. And I think that's really where I started laying down some of my best experience. And I think the advice I would give to, anyone that's going through that transition of a move to a new market is, understanding the new market. In Colorado, there weren't a whole lot of chain businesses. You couldn't sell full strength in grocery stores. So independent sales to independent retailers was always the big thing. Out on the East Coast, it's very much more chain centric. And I realized there is no one that's going to help me make these chain placements but me. So, fortune favors the bold. I sent an email to the largest regional grocery store chain buyer. Lo and behold, I heard back from the guy. And when I told other supply reps, you actually heard that I emailed, they said, you heard back from him? I said, yeah. So you kind of get on the opportunity, go for it. So from there, I transitioned. I lived in Michigan. I lived in Ohio. Working as a regional sales manager for Green Flash. I worked with Fatheads Brewery in Cleveland, Ohio. So, really altogether, I think I've managed maybe 30 states in the country, and then opened, 10 different states for distribution. So I kind of got the hard and fast experience. I think I've got a lot of experience in a short amount of time in the business. But I've been back here with Epic Brewing since August of 2012. Really, really excited and happy to be with these guys. We've got some awesome beer happening. Our most famous, a little plug for the brewery. Our most famous beer is called Big Bad Baptist. We're de-barreling that right now, and it should be ready to rock and roll in October. So if you live in one of the states where we distribute to,
hell yeah! Sounds like I'm gonna have to go to Colorado in October, man.
Come on out, absolutely. If you want to get rec drinking barrel-aged stouts, I'm your guy.
Absolutely, that sounds like a plan. Yeah. But man, this is awesome that you're sharing this, because you mentioned something that is very important and a lot of people is not willing to do, even at this point in time that you have more resources. Because back in 2004 or 5, we didn't have all the resources that we have now, and you say something very important. You were out there, you didn't have resources. You were like, how in the fuck I'm going to learn on this? I don't have the experience. But you did what you're supposed to do, and what everybody listening to this right now or in the future, this is what you need to do. You need to take action. You know, you need to go forward and say like, fuck that, because you don't know everything. It doesn't mean that you're just going to sit there waiting for a miracle. You know, like you said, like it can be a combination of luck and all this, but you create your own luck. And the way you create your own luck is by taking that action. In your case, you didn't know everything, but you decided to move forward. You decided to send that email, and now you're here managing great things in your life. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I think that's, you know, when I'm in kind of these forums, and you know, having, you can almost tell a new sales rep, right? And I think I probably have commented a few times on, I have a pretty strongly held belief that being a beer geek is probably only one aspect of this, right? We have people in our tap room every single day that come by and they're beer geeks, and they can tell you what malts and what hops and, you know, the ABV and what batch number all this beer is and stuff. That doesn't necessarily make you a great salesman, right? But I think that what's really, really different about beer reps is because it's an industry, especially craft beer reps. It's an industry and it's a product that people are really passionate about, right? Cars, beer, sports. There's a few things that I think people really get passionate about. And because people feel such a connection with the product we make, and you brought it up in some previous conversations with other guests, is sales almost seems like a dirty thing. We shouldn't be part of that. We shouldn't be doing that. You know, we have a product that people find value in, they enjoy. We're there to sell you something that you're going to like, and you as a retailer are going to make money off of selling. You know, I think that we're seeing a lot of beer reps get fired for drinking beer, and a lot of reps have great long careers by selling. I think the difficult thing for beer reps is we feel like, you know, because sitting and having a beer is such a social experience, something you do with your friends. I've seen a lot of beer reps sit at a bar and just drink beer for a while, trying to be BFFs with the buyer. They know why you're there, man. You're a sales rep. You know, ask for a sale, ask for a placement. Let them know about the new product you have, but it's really about trying to close as many deals as you can. I think one of your previous guests said, you know, I was a sales rep. I'm used to hearing no. So am I. Sales is a lot like golf. You know, you go out and play 18 holes and you maybe have 2 good shots, but you come off the course and you go, shit, that was awesome. I'm going to go next weekend. Like, no, it wasn't. It's terrible. But that feeling of high is great. And I think that, you know, going back to you know, my original experiences, I didn't know how to manage distributor relationships. You know, selling beer to a retailer or to a customer was the easy part. You know, the 3-tier system is something we can debate the benefits and challenges of the 3-tier system. I think that there's a lot of things that not just some beer suppliers, but distributors would change about that business model at this point. Mm-hmm. It's not built for the craft beer business the way it is now. But you have to be able to manage that. It's a reality we're dealing with. You know, you may not like the 2-party system of American politics, but it's kind of the way it is. And until there's a real motion for change, we have to work within the system. So I guess I take more of the approach of trying to make the system work for me and to work for Epic, versus trying to tear the whole thing down. There's definitely times when you have to have difficult conversations. I have to have some this week. But having a clear, defined goal of what you expect to get out of those hard conversations and understanding your place in that world is hugely important. I think that I've interacted with a lot of reps who are like, what do you mean they're not selling my beer? Well, you're a small part of their business and you're trying to grow that business. I mean, your number one customer is your distributor, right? So managing that relationship, I think, is hugely, hugely important. So if you are a sales manager that is looking at getting into distribution or moving from self-distribution into distribution, I think that reaching out to your network, your professional network, is hugely, hugely important. Like you've touched base on in some other conversations, you know, franchise laws are pretty strict. Once you've signed ink with some of these distributors, it's really, really hard to get out. I think that's probably the most stressful aspect of my job, is vetting and looking at distributors and seeing, is this going to be the right long-term partner for us? Because once that ink hits the paper, you are screwed if it isn't.
Right. And, but you mentioned something very important is about the relationship. But before we get that, man, I mean, you've been sharing, I mean, everything that you're saying is very powerful. So I have many questions. Hopefully we can cover it all right now. But
Yeah,
let's start with the basics
yeah.
because you started from basically nowhere and you have gained your experience and all your knowledge basically through trial and error, right? What you will say it will be one of the most crucial things that have served you during the past years to become the salesperson you are in the craft beer industry right now. For example, for somebody that is just starting, like when you were back a couple of years ago, you didn't know shit about how to sell and how to build those relationships. What is one thing that you found that have served you from that moment till this day? Because there's so many things that they don't change, like building relationship, for example, that doesn't never going to change. You have to, no matter what age we're living, right? So what is one thing that has served you from all this period during all this time?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. The first one I'm going to say is, we're in the craft beer business, and especially if you're a brewery that's growing, looking to make the leap toward distribution, or reaching out to a chain retailer. These guys know they know what you don't know and are willing to, for the most part, help you out, right? You don't need to go in you don't need to go in knowing more than they do. It's okay to ask questions and learn from their experience. And I think that that's what I did I remember sitting down one of my first times with a distributor and he said, so where do you want us to send the depletion reports? And I thought, what the fuck is a depletion report? So I was like, okay, what is that first and foremost? And they'll help you. They want you to be successful because when you're successful, they're selling you a beer. I think the other thing is, and I'm going to speak right out of the other side of my mouth is be an expert on your business and understand how your business affects the distributor's business. Right. And I think the most important thing we can do is do what you say you're going to do to the best of your ability. Right. You want to be the supplier of first contact for your distributor. When they look at their whole portfolio and they say, what brewery partner do we know we can rely on to deliver product in a timely fashion, give us a price that works for the market, and we can grow and make our money together. Do what you say you're going to do, right? And own your mistakes. Own your mistakes. It doesn't help passing the blame on to shipping fucked this up or packaging was this. And sometimes that's a case, right?
Yeah.
But have a solution. Be solutions oriented. I sit in so many meetings where it's just someone bitching at someone else and you're like, okay, fine and good, I understand this happened, what's the solution? Let's move on from this and find out how we fix this. So I don't know, kind of a rambling answer to a simple question, but
yeah, I know, but that's very good, because you mentioned something that a lot of salespeople, mistake that a lot of salespeople make on many industries, and then they try to act or present themselves like experts and that they know this amount of information when they probably don't know shit. I think one of the best lessons I have had in my life when it comes to sales is to be honest. Also, a customer asked me something, man, to be honest with you, I don't know that yet. I'm still learning. So, but if you give me a couple of days, let me go find out. I can talk to my manager, I can talk to my boss, or I can go and find that information for you and give you the right answer. Because that honesty, man, your customers appreciate that. But if you come with a bunch of fucking lies, you're going to lose the business there. I think you're completely right. It's very important to be honest because, among salespeople is the ego, right? Like, oh, I want to sell this, I want to sell that. It's normal traits of a salesperson, but like trying to act like if you're an expert when you're not, it's just going to fuck your sales,
Yeah, I think you really nailed it, I think there. And I think that's really important is be truthful. And I think it's absolutely okay to say, I don't know this. Let me find out. Right. It's like, I think that's kind of where sales got to be kind of a dirty word or a dirty business to be in. We all have that image of the used car salesman saying, oh yeah, this baby will fit so many, whatever. That's because craft beer, our interactions tend to be so much more convivial, a little less formal. Dishonesty is going to get you a reputation that you do not want to have, very,
Yeah.
very quickly. So be
It's gonna
honest.
bite you right in the ass.
Yeah. Be honest right away. And, I think it's tough. Hard truths are tough, but sometimes they have to be said. And I've been yelled at by distributors plenty of times, because I fucked something up, and that affects their bottom line. Learning to avoid those mistakes. Like I said before, if mistakes are wisdom, I'm a smart dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like that's like the more you fuck things up, the more you're gonna learn. So hurry.
I think there's definitely points of diminishing returns, though, right? Like once you've messed up enough things, you're starting to say, "Oh, maybe I'm not learning as quick as I need to." You can't make too many mistakes.
No, you're right, man. You're absolutely right. But yeah, that's very important to understand, man. And that's something that, I mean, if you listen to this right now and you know that you've been acting like that as a salesperson, like knock it off, like
Mhm.
you have to be careful how do you act, and because you represent the entire company, but now let's move a little more into more deep conversation, man, because I know that you, through these years, you have created your own process, like I have my own process for sales. I know how important it is to not only call your customers or your prospect, your leads, how to generate those leads too, how to find more distributors, how to find more people and all that kind of stuff. Also the follow-up, how important it is, and how many people don't follow up, man. That's where most business lose their sales. They focus on the right now sales instead of focusing on the long-term sell, where they actually, like my mentor likes to call it, like the fuck you money is.
Mhm. Yeah.
So talk to us a little about how your system works, how you start building those relationships, and how you can nurture those relationships and move forward to close more sales.
Yeah. So I think most of my job these days is working with distributor partners directly, right? I spend probably less time at retail, so um, a lot of what I do is sell our product to the distributors, and I think that our owner Dave always says, no one cares about Epic's business more than Epic, and
Right.
I think that there's a kind of how I work with that is, when I'm engaging with a new distributor, we kind of walk them through the process of how Epic operates, which isn't typically super different than how other breweries work. But I think the number one thing that I've been complimented on and have worked toward and am still working on is communication, right? Emails are slow, phone calls are fast. I'm old school in that way. If I have to get some immediate follow-up or I need someone to pay attention to me, you make a phone call. So, annual business plan is really important every single year. That's, it's step number one, right? Coming up with an annual business plan, looking at the new products you're going to be reviewing. And it's okay to say, I don't know yet what September 2021 will bring us. However, here's what I know for now, because you, if you're doing it right, will be setting either quarterly or trimesterly or even monthly, depending on that distributor's particular business with you, follow-up conversations. You don't have to be overly formal. You don't need to spend 2 hours, 3 hours crunching numbers and looking at depletions data and rate of sale and points of distribution for every meeting. But I think it's production, not perfection, is an important part of my credo. Communication, follow up, and then listening really to concerns, whether it's from a distributor or a retailer. And I think I took that from my hospitality aspect, is when someone complains about having old inventory on the floor, or this one didn't pull through. What can I do to help move that off the floor or address that in some other way that will not prevent us from doing more business in the future, right? Looking at 1 or 2 cases sitting on the floor that didn't move from last year's release is preventing us from holding 100 cases. Let's make a plan for that and get that through. And just being a good partner to the people that you're working with is my process. But I mean, really, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. It comes down to communication. It comes down to communication, and it needs to be effective. Having effective meetings with a beginning, middle, and end, and a recap, really, really important. Sat through so many thoughts and feelings don't sell beer anymore. Show me the numbers. So moving my approach as I've grown in my career, moving my approach from being, hey, this beer tastes really good, here's the malts, here's the hops, here's the ABV, to this is more data driven. We think this new product will cannibalize current product by 20%, but overall growth points of distribution by 40%. And I rely on a lot of the resources around me, whether it's my CRM or my depletions reporting software, or guys like Rick Lazagi who put us in touch, working with the chain accounts. So yeah, again, sorry, kind of a rambling answer to a pretty simple question, but that's really a process. Just falls back in communication and building consensus, right?
Yeah, no, and you mentioned something very important because, like you said, if somebody has a case of beer that is just sitting there, they haven't moved it yet. I think in those cases, that's where that communication kicks in too. You need to know at what stage you have to communicate with your people. It's like, if you know that a couple months ago you sell X amount of beer to this distributor, right? They took it, and then they haven't moved it yet. Why you don't take the initiative to talk to them first, to follow up with them once a week, every 2 weeks, once a month, ask them how everything is going. Like, do you need something? Are you moving the product before they call you? Because that will show your customer service to them too, your interest and your responsibility of like, that you take care about what's going on in their business too. You know what I mean? So I think that's very important, man. That communication, not only at the beginning, but also like down the road, like you said, building relationships. A lot of salespeople, and I see this a lot in many industries, man, they make a sale and then like they forget about it. Like, see you, man. Like, you're doing it all wrong.
Yeah. It's you're right. I think it's a constant kind of like, I don't want to use the word babysitting, right? Because that's not exactly the right connotation I want to put across. But it has to be constantly handled, constantly touched, constantly moved. When a merchandiser or a sales rep goes into a store, they have to move every case around to face everything the right way. Every time you go into a retail environment, there is a touch point that happens. Every time you have an interaction with a distributor or a large retailer, I deal with a lot of chain stuff. There has to be some sort of follow-up, some sort of additional communication. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Just calling. Sometimes when I'm on my way over to the brewery, I'll call a distributor sales manager and say, hey, how's everything going? I haven't talked to you for a little bit. Anything that we can do? Here's a couple of new products that you may not have known about. It's this constant kind of nurturing this relationship in order to become that first point of contact with every distributor. I think that the other aspect that I think not just Epic, but I think a lot of breweries are dealing with now is the problem I think that we see with distributors, and if there's any distributor people listening, they're gonna bitch at me, right? The second tier, the distribution tier of craft beer. We always hear from craft beer aficionados, oh, ABC brewery bought XYZ brewery. That's, how awful that this brewery is getting so big. Man, we're just doing this in response to the consolidation in the middle tier. I'll relate to you a story about, our current distribution footprint in Chicago. A month ago, our distributor decided to sell all of their beer brands to the Budweiser house. Right. We're still vetting what we're doing there. We don't really have a choice in the matter anymore, right?
Right.
So if a distributor's business starts to suffer, all they have to do is pick up another brewery, right?
Right.
Distributors care less about individual brands than they do about their overall business, which is fine, right? That's their job. Distributor AB or whatever, they need to worry about paying their employees and paying their rent and keeping their lights on. And I need to do the same for Epic. And in this Venn diagram of sales, we have an overlapping interest. Right. But if they decide not to focus on Epic, they can just focus on one of the other 45 beer brands in their house. I am the only person. We as supplier sales reps are the only people that care about our brand as much as we do. So it's a constant effort to stay focused on the top of mind with the distributors, constant communication. You'll hear distributors say, I want to focus on core brands next year, and then immediately say, what are you coming out with new? What do we do with that information? So we have to negotiate how we're receiving that information, how to translate it into sales. It's tough. It's tough these days, especially, like I said, with the consolidation in the middle tier. There are fewer and fewer and fewer options for breweries to go with. You're either one of the big ones or you're one of the little ones, and kind of this middle section where Epic is probably where you're going to see a lot of breweries struggling.
But I think I mean, like we were talking before we started the show, man. Like, I think it also comes to the mentality of the brewery owners, because there's nothing wrong with expanding your business. Like if you started a business, like let's remove the brewery name, let's put business because it's a business, right? If you started a business, it's because you wanted some financial freedom, you wanted to provide more to your family and all that stuff. But if you start a business just to stay small, and not even and live paycheck to paycheck, like why you don't better close your business? You don't have a business. You don't own a business. You own a job.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the truth. There's nothing about growing. There's nothing bad about growing.
Mhm.
And here's the fact, man. Like 10 years ago, the craft beer industry was a completely different story. It is a small industry still, but right now, the way I see it in 2020, putting aside COVID, right? The craft beer industry is going through some kind of transformation due to the technology, to the social media, to the internet, and all that kind of stuff, where more opportunities to sell beer are coming. Like now you can sell beer on social media pretty much. If you have an online menu, an online system, you have a whole funnel system, or like the way I like to call it, like a modern sales machine. Uh, then that you can sell beer pretty much. You have other distribution channels too, to sell directly to the consumer. You can use social media to find distributors too.
Well, and I think, I think we were talking about this last week, and with the COVID crisis, it's obviously hurt and helped in some ways, right? It helped we at Epic to kind of examine, and hopefully every brewery examine the way you were doing things, right? For instance, we knew we needed to update our can images, our product images. We knew we needed to update our portal for distributors to access. We knew we needed to update a lot of these things to allow for, better presentations, for better sell sheets. And that's something that kind of got put on the back burner because we're chugging along, we're doing draft, we're doing packages, and all of a sudden this thing comes and it's a big disruptor to the industry.
Yeah.
So, I'm 42 years old, and I think anyone my age could say that at some point we're kind of stuck in our ways. We really got put out of our comfort zone, which is really no news to anyone that's in the beer business at this point, right? All of a sudden you're in your comfort zone. But I think where we pivoted and tried to be the same or better than our competition in the market. And let's face it, this whole brotherhood of beers is great. It's awesome. I love being in the industry. I have a lot of friends, but at the end of the day, there's not more shelf space out there. So how do I make my product easier to find, easier to locate, quicker selling for the retailer or the distributor? So we really focused up on engaging with delivery services, Drizzly, engaging with our top off-prem retailers to make sure that they had updated can images, making sure that our sales reps were going to their website and reviewing, hey, it looks like new product A is not available to order on your website. Would you please get with your web designer and make sure that's available to order for delivery? Otherwise, people don't know it's there. And such an important aspect of craft beer is being able to go in and for a consumer to peruse the shelves, look at what's on the shelf and say, I'm going to try this one out, interact with someone at retail level. And if that all of a sudden is taken away from us, how do we engage and drive velocity and make new placements and make Epic look like we are there to help contribute to what is a retailer's probably struggling business? So we pivoted in that way and I think it worked out well for us. Our off-premise independent sales are clipping along just fine, just like a lot of others. And I think that they're better than they could have been had we not immediately addressed that right away.
Absolutely. Now, tell us a little about the CRM, man, because like I told you before, I have seen that there's a lot of breweries that they don't even know what is a CRM and how important it is, because the CRM can be used for everything. Can be used again for distributors, can be used in your tap room too, like you can start collecting people's information, like people that visit your tap room and start creating your email list and do all that stuff. Like a CRM is one of the most powerful tools out there for any type of business. So talk to us a little about how you've been implementing a CRM, how you've been using it, how it's been helping you with your sales.
Yeah. So, we, over the course of my career, I've used a few different CRMs, and I think every CRM that I've used is more powerful than what we've actually utilized it for. really good training on this. And I think it always blows my mind when someone's like, oh, we don't have a CRM. I just keep like an Excel spreadsheet of where all my accounts are, or what my,
Right.
you know, my retail stuff or whoever. You know, there's a lot of analytics that go along with CRMs that I've found to be really, really helpful. So when we go into an account, you know, we pull up our CRM and it's got, you know, buyer contact information, email address. And so we've started to, and, you know, from listening to your podcast and listening to your guests, Epic is a little behind the 8 ball with marketing. So we have all this data we've collected, whether it's email or rate of sale, and really taking that and leveraging that, right? And I think that's really my next challenge with Epic is the CRM can be such a powerful tool. And if you're not using one, you know, I think any brewery would do well to start looking at that, because it gives you a lot of analytics, and you can create an email list right away. You can see what brands are trending up, what brands are trending down based on sales depletions. And the other thing is, you know, if you're a sales manager and you have a team of reps like I do, it's really helps us to focus on where we need the reps to be going, right?
Right.
I challenge my reps to go and increase sales at independent off-premise. So how do you track that? So often we don't see our reps over the course of the day. I have reps all over the state. I'm not going to see my guy an hour away, but once a month. So it's just about tracking, saying, hey, you know, Joe, you only saw 50% of the accounts you need to see. So it's like managing a team anywhere. It's like, you know, whether you're you know, running a restaurant or running a team of sales reps, it helps you focus attention and guide sales opportunities to increase the revenue of the brewery, so we can buy that new piece of equipment, or we can release that new beer, so we can get our brand name out there. We can grow our business and increase revenue. So I've found CRMs in any aspect to be really, really, really valuable, just in terms of data collection. And there's so much data there that I'm not even great at manipulating it, and it's a constant work in progress for me. So we started to take that data and use different email blasts. I think one of your previous guests said email marketing is just way undervalued, I think, in the beer business. So you know, looking at targeting customers, looking at targeting retailers, and then we have a separate one that will go out to distributors, right? So it's knowing that market. The distributors need to know something different than, say, the customer does about the beer. So knowing that market and to be able to generate that data and break it up to have the most effective, impactful type of communication is really important. We don't have time for shit anymore, right? We're in the world of scrolling.
Yeah.
So if your communication or the information you're trying to get past is not immediately impactful, it's going to go nowhere. I can't tell you how many times that you read these. I try to keep my emails short and sweet. You read these presentations or these emails, and I remember going into a meeting once with a big Northeast grocery retailer, and I had a 30-page deck. And he sat down and he starts flipping through this, and he says, "Listen, man, this isn't a sales presentation. This is a product catalog." And I was like, "Shit." Right. So, had I looked at my CRM better, had I understood what products they were buying, what products they were maybe lacking on, how many visits we've made to those stores, how we'd engaged with the buyers at the store level, maybe I wouldn't have brought in a product catalog, and I could have brought in a tight deck, right? So really, it helps me so much. We couldn't do our job without it.
You know, and I think one of the things that is also very important to know how to use a CRM, you know, is because it helps you keep track of those relationships. You know, like you have history of every relationship that you build, like for both sides of the business, you know, with direct to the consumer, or when you're talking with your distributors and other people, other businesses that you work with, you know, like it is essential to have these kind of tools. And like you said, like in 2020, right? A lot of people still like trying to grasp the idea of using social media for their breweries and email campaigns and CRMs and all this kind of stuff. And it's understandable. There's nothing wrong about it because nobody was talking about this kind of stuff before 2 or 3 years ago in the craft beer industry. But now that's what we do in this show. That's why I created a marketing brewing company, so I can teach people too and provide systems for online marketing, for social media marketing, to use a CRM to create these databases for people can create these email campaigns and nurture those relationships, not only with the consumers, but also with the people that distribute beer and all that kind of stuff, so it's fine. That's the reason why I know you have heard this before in the show. I always have said that I think that there's a blessing with all this going on, because it's pushing the craft beer industry to go to the process of moving from traditional ways of doing business to online business, something that many industries have gone through that process for many years already. For example, like real estate industry, right? Like 10 years ago, nobody will believe that you can find people or find buyers or sellers on social media. Like my wife, she used social, that's the only thing that she used to generate leads, and she had generated almost 2,000 leads in less than a year from social media. It is the same thing that can be implemented in the craft beer industry. So I think it's something good because it's pushing the industry to go way faster to that process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's really forced us to kind of take a long, hard look at what we were doing that seemed to be kind of like working for a long time. And now we're going, shit. The liquid to lips sampling opportunity is gone. On-premise sampling occasions, gone. People are sitting at home more often. How can we leverage that? So a lot of what I do is I try to, I'm not a great marketer. I can sell shit. So I rely on working with our marketing guy who just started, about a month ago to try to bring these two worlds together, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in past breweries that I've worked with, the marketing team will look at it and say, oh, we got X number of impressions on this post. And I think some of your guests have really, it's great. Some of your guests have really have done the job. And I think marketing organizations and marketers for craft beer are starting to really put these things together, right? I don't sell impressions. Right. I don't sell views. I sell cases of beer. And one needs to fall into the next one, right? And I think that's a lot where we've taken a look at our sales team spending too much time at beer festivals, right? Everyone wants to put on an event for autistic cats. Can you donate 4 kegs of beer? Is that going to increase revenue and increase visibility for our brewery? And you have to make hard choices on whether that's going to happen. And I think I really, really, really love seeing the aspect of the marketing arm of the business work more closely and in lockstep with sales.
Right.
Focus on the items that drive us revenue. It's really an exciting part of the business that I have yet to learn more about, and I'm really excited to know more about that because, like I said, we sell cases of beer, and that's the most important thing for us to do. And now that a lot of these things have been taken away, it's been tough.
No, things are changing, like we just said. Like things are changing, and just because the industry is being pushed to change with everything else changing in the world, it doesn't mean that the industry has to lose its essence. You can still keep the essence of being craft beer and the culture and the hospitality, and that everybody helps each other. But this is an opportunity for you, if you're a business owner or a brewery owner, listen to this, to grow your business. You can grow even a multi-million brewery, but you don't have to be Budweiser, for example, and screw up the quality of your product if that's the issue, But I think we have an opportunity to expand and build those relationships. Like I said, social media is what I do all my business too, Like I don't use anything else but social media. And I believe marketing and sales definitely they come together. But like you were saying with the CRM, right? Like you have to build those relationships. You don't keep track in a spreadsheet. You're not gonna keep track of shit, But if you have a system that can show you, oh, last week I talked to this rep, and he told me to reach out to again in next week, and today's the day I can reach out to him. You keep control of your conversation. You keep control of the process, because that's another big thing. And I know I want to hear your opinion about what I'm going to say. A lot of salespeople, they focus on go to somebody and they're like, hey, do you want to buy my shit? And it's like, no, okay, see ya. And they go to the next person instead of building that relationship, you know?
Yeah.
When in reality, most of those no's, if you nurture those relationships, they can be turned into a yes down the road, you know? It's just because right now they're saying no, it doesn't mean that they're not interesting, but down the road, they might have an interest in your product and they're going to say yes. But the only way you're going to find out is you build that relationship. If you have a follow-up system, your CRM can help you to have that follow-up system, know how to follow up, when to contact them, how many emails you have sent them, how many calls you have made, how many, whatever you have sent them to them, and keep track of all of that. So I want to hear your opinion on that, because I think that's a huge mistake a lot of people do. Is like they think because they get the first no, they turn around and find someone else. Well, you can actually turn that no into a yes.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, where the CRM really helps us a lot is you're right, is it's tracking visits and then tracking conversations, tracking where we're at in terms of sales, right? So I think every sales rep likes to spend time in your top accounts. You know, hey, these guys are nice to me, they give me whatever I want. You know, at some point you've got all your products on the shelf, and the only thing you can do then is continue to grow velocity. What's really easy is to grow distribution, right?
Right.
Getting a new place on a shelf somewhere. So, you know, the important aspect I think about CRM is being able to demonstrate to the retailer, hey, I've been in here, boy, 3 times in the last 6 weeks. We've talked about this. You said that this is your objection last time. Talked about this. This was your objection last time. I see you've had display. I made a note that there was a display of competitor brand A on the floor, and we have a beer that I think would really appreciate that. It's finally going to say, what more do I need to do to grab your business? You would be surprised what people will tell you when you just show them the data and ask them the question.
Yep.
People will tell you how to sell them something if you just ask and show them what you have. If you ask them that stuff, you'd be surprised. And I think it's important to say, you know, it does 2 things. There's opportunity to keep going back, right?
Yeah.
At some point, you are just going to have to say, and this happens rarely, but you're going to have to say, listen, I'm not going to get there. This isn't going to happen. I need to stop spinning my wheels here. And it helps sales reps focus their attention somewhere else where there's more opportunity, right? Maybe that account isn't right for you now, and it won't be right for you in a year or 2 years. But understanding the visits, understanding the conversations, and help you to redirect to somewhere where there's opportunity is really, really important. And that's how we use our CRM. I get reports from our reps every single week. And I think what's more important, I tell our team, don't send I like seeing your recaps. It's great. It's fine. It's good. I hired you because I know you're going to go out and do work, whether I'm following up with you every single day or not. However, really, really, really important to take that CRM information about your route for that day or for that week, make follow-up notes for the distributor reps to follow up on those accounts, right? There's me and 3 other sales reps in Colorado. There are over 100 distributor reps selling our product. They can touch way more accounts than we can in a week. So how do you add value to that that distributor reps route? Use your CRM data to say, I followed up here a number of times. You said you would do A action hasn't been done. What do we need to do to make A action done? Giving them direction on what needs to be done for those accounts. We're all out here kind of winging it, and any additional information we can have based on those CRM reports is really, really important.
There you go. That's living proof of that. Money is in the follow-up. You know, that's how these reps have become very successful. That's amazing, man. I'm glad to hear that. That's crazy. And
Well,
just
and I always
because,
try to, whether you're a street rep or, you know, I don't have street reps. I have district managers, right? Like the mindset that I've had and continue to have until all of our reps have is, you know, we make beer, and this is a product that we give you for free to sell and make money, right? This is your business. So you need to manage your distributor reps, manage your relationships with the tools that we pay for you to make action.
right. And when you do all this when you put all these pieces together, when you follow up, when you have all the right information, when you ask the questions so you can find the information that you need to provide a better service and all that stuff, I mean, you exceeding value over price, you know? And like one of my mentors said, when value exceeds price, you're going to make a sale, no matter what the price the product is. But when your value exceeds that price, you're gonna close the sale. It is that simple, So I think all those little parts together come to create that value. And in 2020, man, I know people that when they follow up with their clients, they also get creative, like we don't need to be anymore the 80s salesperson, all serious, wearing a fucking suit and all that stuff, like we actually even follow up with people using memes.
Yeah, right.
Using memes and GIF and creating those relationships, making it fun. You don't have to be a big car salesman. I don't have nothing against car salesmen, but nobody likes those motherfuckers.
Yeah. I mean, they've got that reputation. I think that's been well earned,
Yeah, that's true. But you can be creative too.
Yeah, I don't want to. I definitely am. As I've gained, as my career has developed and I've learned a lot more, I've definitely become more of a data geek, right? I think there's something that you can, all the tools that we have available for us, are they helping add value to our business? Are they helping add value to our customers' business? Is it helping add value to our brand? And if it isn't, it needs to be re-examined and potentially deleted. And, I think there's something that sometimes I get caught down on because I do have to look at a lot more numbers than I think, someone going out and seeing 50 accounts a week is, there's one of the guys I've known for a long time on the distributor side told me, there's sometimes analysis paralysis, right? Sometimes you're sitting around and you're looking at all these numbers and sometimes what's going to fix the problem is going and selling a case of beer to someone. You don't need to, all this information we have and the tools we help streamline our informations, help focus our information stream, focus new brand launches, focus sales initiatives, identify opportunities, but nothing substitutes boots on the street and just going out and talking beer.
Right.
It's really very simple, but it's not easy.
Oh, absolutely. Totally agree with you. And you mentioned something very important. And now that you're becoming more like data driven, like right now, man, data is the most important asset you have as a business, because the data is everything now. Like I was trying to tell you before, let's say for the consumer side, right? If you can collect that information, then you can retarget that people, right? How you can communicate with your people if you don't have that information, how you can follow up and down the road with people that haven't bought from you, some distributors that you haven't made any business with them. But if you don't have the information, so you can send them an email, hey, I have something new. Maybe they were looking exactly what you just released that month and you send that email, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to turn around and say, okay, you know what, let's talk to these guys. But if you don't have their information, if you don't collecting that data from them, how in the hell are you going to keep in touch with them? So, this is the most important asset right now. I'm going to talk about all this right now at the conference coming next month. And I'm going to explain about all this data stuff and how you can utilize this, no matter if it's B2C or B2B, like in the whole process that you can implement and build a effective machine that can make you more revenue, So I'm going to be talking about all this stuff. I'm excited to share all this, man.
Yeah, hugely important. I think, in shit, if you're a sales manager for a brewery somewhere and you don't have a CRM and you're not getting depletion data, or, come up with a system that's going to work for you. I tell you what, there's companies that are really GD good at making these systems. Look into those. It's worth the money. But even if you got to start with, if you have 20 accounts and you start with an Excel spreadsheet, start somewhere, right? If you're not collecting this data to help focus your sales initiatives, then you're not going to get anywhere very fast.
But there's a couple of free CRMs out there too, so there's no excuses why not to use a tool like that or other tools or start implementing marketing and all that kind of stuff. Because another thing that before I forget about this, you mentioned something about the impressions and all the kind of stuff, which is amazing, like having all these impressions on your social media. But guess what? You're not going to deposit like, comments, and followers into your account. You cannot deposit that shit. You can have 1,000 impressions, but if you're not converting that people into buyers, into people that is advocating for your brand, you're fucked. That's it. So that's the question. How you take those impressions, those people's liking your stuff, those people following your social media into actual people buying your beer, whether it's online, through your online store, like showing up by your tap room. How are you going to convert those people, because that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand. Like everybody that you come in touch with right now, no matter which side it is, B2C or B2B, there's a small percentage, roughly 3% of that people that is ready to make a buying decision, and the other 97% is to be nurtured and create that relationship with them. So if you have 1,000 impressions, how are you gonna, only 3% of those 1,000 impressions probably gonna buy from you, which probably is not gonna provide too much revenue, right?
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think that any sales rep in my position or a regional sales manager, we need to be looking long term, right? And we can't take those impressions to the bank now, but can we take those to the bank in 2 months or 6 months or a year? How do we continue to grow that engagement? I think that some of the best marketing campaigns and social media campaigns engage customers, right? Like we all know craft beer people have opinions about stuff.
Right.
How do we drive that engagement? And I mean, shit, I think we all remember the first beer that we fell in love with and why is that? All of a sudden, it's not just a product I buy, it's a thing that I support. Your favorite beer isn't something that you purchase. It is something that you are a fan of. How many people are Broncos fans? They ain't never played. They're not haven't worked there. They don't play Bronco. Don't play football.
Right.
But they're a fan. They're a part of that organization. So creating that kind of engagement there is something that I think Epic has done well in the past, and is going to continue to look to do in the future. And again, like I said, part of my job is to take that sales aspect and work with our marketing to make sure that we're targeting the right ways.
Absolutely, man. I think you guys are doing a great job, and everything that you have shared today, man.
We're trying,
man. I think it's. I mean, you're doing great, man. It's being a clear example of like what you can accomplish when you just put in the work. When you just implement little systems. You're open-minded to what other people are doing, what can implement, what kind of system I can use that can help me grow my sales or find more people and whatever the case may be. I mean, that's a great example for people watching or listening to this right now, because I think, again, sales is a very, very important aspect of any business, especially in the craft beer, especially in 2020, where the industry is being affected really bad with all this bullshit. You know what I mean? So I think it's important, man. And most importantly, I believe no matter if you are the owner of the brewery, if you are the guy in charge of the marketing, if you are the regional manager, if you are the street rep or whatever, if you're the bartender, whatever it is, I think is one of the most crucial things you can do in 2020. And from now on is just keep educating yourself and growing, so you can learn more stuff, because we are in a world that is constantly improving. There's something new coming out every single day, that you can use for business. Consumer behavior is changing really fast. You need to be aware of all those kind of things too,
We need to be nimble. We need to be quick. We need to be able to access the data and make the sale right away. Right. It's getting to be more urgent, I think, as we see this is. Sometimes it's nice to have that long-term goal. We need to be thinking long-term. We're thinking 10 years down the road, but I need to make immediate changes right now and immediate actions right now. So yeah, I try, man. Well, I'm probably not reinventing the wheel, but I got some experience to hopefully guide other sales managers and other sales reps into the right position. Don't be afraid to ask for the sale. Don't be afraid to ask after an ABP meeting or a business meeting with your distributor. Say, is there anything I touch base on that you found important or was a waste of time, or what are even with a meeting with a chain, how was my presentation? Was it better or worse than my competitors? Is there anything that you would like me to bring next time to the deck or the presentation? What can I do to improve my next interaction with you? Like I said, asking people, and you'd be surprised at what they tell you.
Absolutely, man. And what you just mentioned, I think that's the other reason why you have been also successful in being able to build all this system that have been helping the brewery and all that stuff, because you're not reinventing the wheel. And that's the thing. Like don't try to reinvent the wheel. That's the reason why, like you have, for everything that you have shared with me, it seems like you have learned from some of my guests and all that kind of stuff, the same thing. And that's the reason why I bring people from different industries, because it's not to reinvent the wheel. It's like success leave clues, so we can learn from people from different industries. Like some of the things that I have learned from real estate, for marketing in other industries, are things that are helping me right now in the craft beer industry. So I think that's the other aspect. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Go out there, look what others are doing, look what others are being successful with, and just copy what they're doing, adapt it to your needs, to your business, to your core values, and implement it and see how your business start growing, you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah, you're right. Absolutely. There's definitely, I rely on tried and true tactics to grow our business and increase our interaction with our customers, whether it's distributor or sales rep or retailer or customer. And then, disrupt where you can and grow on known strategies where you can as well. And hopefully, sales managers or sales reps out there will be successful, following that path.
they will. Just put in the work and they will.
I tell you what, it's a lot of work, man. I think that if anyone thinks they're punching out at 5 o'clock and going home when you're a beer sales rep, you are wrong. You're in the wrong business. I think, I don't know, man, you're around the craft beer business. How often do you hear from some guy who comes into, the brewery, he's like, oh, I'm looking to retire. This would be such a fun job. What a cool job you have. And I'm like, dude, you don't see the 70 hours a week I sit in front of, either making presentations or new product development or making sure, like this is a job. This is like Julie's company. This is not a hobby. And I recognize that what we do is super fun. It's cool. Like, let's face it. Yeah. I get to sell beer, man. This is pretty fucking cool, right?
Yeah,
and,
it is.
When I go down, when I'm at the brewery and I'm listening, the cellar master saying, Nate, try this. It just finished fermenting. And I'm like, dang, you don't get to do this when you're selling urinal cakes, man.
Yeah.
But, it's, I don't want to say it's I try to understand that what we do is super cool. But
yeah,
I want, if you're not in the industry where you're looking to become a sales rep or something like that, if you think you're going to be working 40 hours a week, you are wrong, right?
Yeah.
That is absolutely wrong. Like I said at the start, this is a combination of luck and hard effing work. And if you think you can just do this as like part of your retirement plan, go home. I don't have time for it, right? Like it's somehow it's like, it's almost insulting sometimes to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, you think this is just something that I do because I like, don't get me wrong, I love beer, but I gotta pay my rent. I gotta pay my mortgage, I gotta make my car payment. So it's really important.
It's true, man. I think I have worked in sales before too, and a sales job is never gonna be a 40-hour a week job, man. Like sales are, it is long hours. It's a lot of work and effort, but it's rewarding, man. Like I love selling too, and I love this industry too, That's why I'm here. A lot of people always say me like, man, I like everything you're doing, man. Like, you get to drink beer all the time and all that shit. Like, heck yeah, but it's a lot of fucking work too, man.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, it's not always fun. There's a lot of shit to do, a lot of systems and processes to implement to help these guys. But at the end of the day, the reward is that I can get a cold beer, So
a tap room's right there. I think
absolutely.
That, we talk a lot about, distributor relationships. We talk a lot about communication and preparation and CRMs and stuff, understanding the data. And I think that you're right. At the end of the day, it's all worth it. And, I kind of want to relate to you kind of a quick, big success that we've seen here at Epic recently, right? Like it's a combination of a great product, a great plan, a great team behind it, and then a strategy that is as well researched as it can be. And then you just got to work from your heels for the rest. We like a lot of other breweries have launched kind of a seltzer line, right? And we decided to try making a hard coconut water. Right. And I thought, I joke with our owner about this. I'm like, Dave, when you said that we were going to do hard coconut water, I thought, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing, right? I've never sold one before. I've never seen one before. And we put a plan together. We did the right product testing. We designed the labels in a way that was collaborative and sales focused. We worked to make product placements locally and presented it wherever we can. You just have to go and knock on doors the old-fashioned way. Go through your CRM, find out who's been selling a lot of your other products that are similar to that, and target those accounts. And now I think we've got something. I mean, this is a product that is going national. A lot of excitement on it, and I never thought we'd be selling as much hard coconut water as we are. But it's working, and I think that's really the most satisfying aspect is I feel like I had a part of that. to kind of work in that collaborative process to bring this to market. It's not enough just to say, hey, we have a cool product.
Yeah.
You need to flesh out that plan. And I spent a lot of time working with our owner, going through numbers, looking through CRMs to target accounts, target places that we needed to be at. So, if you're a sales manager out there and you're listening, don't be afraid to ask your team to deliver on tough goals. Don't be afraid to ask your distributors to sell a lot of product. And don't be afraid to hold people accountable for doing what they say they're going to do, and don't be afraid to over communicate. I've never heard from any distributor, I hear from that guy too much.
Right.
Just make the call.
Wow. Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we did a good job.
Fuck yeah, man. You should grab a beer right now again, just to celebrate one more time, because
slam one down.
Yeah, those are the achievements that you have to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. I'm really happy for you to hear that you guys have been successful with this new product, man. That's amazing. But
Great.
Yeah, man. Anyway, man, we've been here for a little bit over an hour, man.
Sorry, like I said, I'm long-winded.
Man, that's awesome, man. I told you, this will turn into a good episode, and you have shared great information here, man, and I really appreciate it. And I think it's been a great. I think it's the first episode I do that relates to sales and distributions and all that stuff, and and you have dropped really good bombs here, and that can help everybody else out there listening to this, So I'm really grateful for that, man. I'm really grateful for you sharing all this information, a little bit of what you have been doing to be successful right now with Epic Brewing too. But before we go, man, if there's anything else you would like to say before we go, maybe one last piece of advice, and also where people can find you. Maybe somebody wants to reach out to you, ask for some advice or some guidance on how they can change some of their processes in their sales and all that stuff, where people can find you.
It's big words of wisdom to play me off stage. I think it's just, persistence, communication, and coming from a position of knowledge is really, I think, what's made me successful working with distributors. And hopefully will make the listeners, sales managers or sales reps out there also, successful with their distributors. It's really not reinventing the wheel, but it's really difficult work. It takes up a lot of time, and don't be afraid to put in a lot of that extra effort. And you're going to make mistakes and learn from those. Ask, if you're listening to this, it means you're interested in growing your network and hearing from others. So if there's anything I can do to help out, my epicbrewing.com and my contact information is on the bottom of the page there. I don't maintain any, I think I'm on Instagram as epicbrewnate. I'm happy to reach out to me on there. I'm a sales guy, so I try to be available all the time. Absolutely. So hopefully your listeners got a little something out of this, and thanks for having me on. Like I said, I think this is, try to keep it to sales as much as possible. Hopefully that helps.
Oh, man, I'm sure they will, man. Like I said, you have shared really good information, and I'm really grateful for that, because that's, like you just mentioned right now, the whole point of this is to help other people. And if somebody's listening at this point, you're smart if you're listening to this, because like I said, this is the 28th episode, and there's been 28 episodes full of information that can help you, not only in sales, like we're talking right now, but we've been talking about marketing, even about health, about how you can take care of your fitness, even if you're in the craft beer industry, how important it is to take from different aspects of your life. So I think people who can listen to this is smart. It means that it's people trying to grow in life, trying to become better, trying to go to a next level. And that's the reason why I appreciate that you're here sharing all this information very much. For you guys listening, if you enjoy the show, make sure you share it with somebody. Put it on social media, send a DM, a text message, email, whatever you can do to help us spread the word. And also make sure to leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to the YouTube channel so more people can find the show and have access to all this valuable information. I will see you guys in the next episode. In the meantime, be safe, keep working hard, and cheers. Later, brother. Hey guys, thank you for watching. This show was brought to you by the Marketing Brewing Company, an industry-leading marketing provider and coaching firm. If this episode have provided you with valuable information for you and your business, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, share it with them. Send me a text message, a DM, put it on social media, whatever you can do to spread the word. And lastly, if you're a brewery owner ready to take your business to the next level, make sure you head to marketingbrewingco.com and fill out the form to get started and get your free assessment of your current marketing and sales strategies. I will see you guys for the next episode. In the meantime, cheers.